The Gary Vaynerchuk effect. Who hasn't he affected yet? Love him or hate him, everyone has a different way of approaching Gary Vaynerchuk, and I know I do. And recently in a Facebook group that I was in, somebody that I really respect in the business community was sort of venting on the fact that, look, all of this content that Gary's putting out is really just pointing at himself. It's just a way to showcase himself, and it's more me than give, which one could argue. I mean, I think a lot of the content that Gary puts out is in a way to help us and to motivate us. Yeah, it could get pretty tiring every now and again. I certainly don't consume every video that comes out. I'm going to talk about that in a second. He has many flavors of content, just like Chris Do, who, by the way, also had him on his podcast quite recently. But I think this is like a tough love, tough lesson kind of thing, where in a year's time or 2 years, 10 years time, the answer will come down to creating content and being transparent and building a brand and having somebody connect with you personally in order to do business, that whole digital handshake thing that I talk about. And I think what Gary's going to say is, that's what I was doing. But this particular gentleman's point in this Facebook group was, you know, this content there's no customer there. What about all these brands that Gary's, you know, allegedly serving, which I do believe he is. Where's the success? Where's their story? Where are they playing the role in this story being told about Gary Vaynerchuk and VaynerMedia? And I agree with that. Like, we don't see that at that level. We don't have any optics around the brands and the businesses that he helps, and how all of this stuff and this content creation and the big media team that Gary has following him, how that actually helps the customer. I would give Gary some credit here in that in the field that he's playing in with the brands that he's connected with, there's probably some, you know, keeping close to the vest. We don't want to tell everybody all the brands we're working with. We certainly don't want to talk about the different strategies we put in place for these folks so people don't come in and scoop that up. A little bit of a different playing field than the types of customers that you and I deal with. But I do agree that it would be nice to see how all of this stuff is impacting bigger brands and what types of content is his team recommending for brands. Certainly, I don't see all of these CEOs running around with vloggers following them or a media crew following them. So what is being put in place in these other brands that he's talking about? I think you really have to approach Gary's content with the right flavor of content for you. And let me just frame that. So like I said, he puts out a lot of different types of shows, the Daily V, the vlog, the speaking engagements, all of that fun stuff that he does. But for me, the most valuable piece of content that he puts out is that 4Ds series. And I forget what the 4Ds stand for, digital something for small businesses or medium businesses. But that's content that's pulled right from real business owners with real problems, and they're asking real questions to Gary. The answer is inevitably always just create more content with these folks, and you know, that's kind of funny too. But it's interesting to hear the types of problems that people are having, how they present their questions, and how Gary fields those answers. So for me anyway, if I'm following along with Gary, which I do, it's really that 4Ds and the more raw material than it is the speaking gigs or the motivational pieces, or especially the heavily edited motivational pieces like the top 5 tips to whatever, that kind of thing. And I'm certainly not connected to the podcast as I once was, because it's just not a context that fits me. It is interesting to see where Gary's going with all of this stuff. Sometimes you see him going in 15 different directions, other times it's really focused, and you can kind of get a sense that there's a human layer to this. And I think, again, at the end of the day, that is the whole point behind this. He's saying, look, I'm trying to be transparent, and I am connecting, and I am getting businesses. He's walking the walk, talking the talk. And I think when he presents to bigger brands, he just says, look what I'm doing. I'm just going to do this for you with a team. And maybe that's how all of this is playing out at VaynerMedia. I don't know. What do you think about Gary? Let me know in the comments below. I do talk about him and reference him a lot in my podcast, but I'd love to know what you think. Leave me a comment below. We'll see you in the next video.